A backlog at Jefferson County's Department of Social Services has the sheriff's office making several house calls to make sure children are safe. 7 News reporter Lexi Bruning has more as Child Protective Services needs help itself.
Jefferson County's Department of Social Services runs Child Protective Services, where caseworkers visit homes when it feels children need to be checked on due to potential neglect or abuse. But CPS has a backlog, and instead of a caseworker knocking on the door, it could be a member of the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office.
And in this particular case, we were asked to provide some assistance to social services due to maybe an increase in caseload, and I deployed my detectives in a timely manner.
The backlogs came to light last summer when DSS Commissioner Karen Markham attended a county meeting and concerned county lawmakers learned her office had more than a dozen open positions. 7 News is told the department continues to struggle to fill positions and people are leaving, prompting the county to go to the sheriff's office for help.
The sheriff's office is accessible, flexible, and willing to help really when it comes to anything in the community, but obviously particularly public safety.
It has been reported that caseloads at the Department of Social Services have been high and staffing has been low. But Pichet says that's not an issue exclusive to Jefferson County.
It is happening across New York State. There's quite a few vacancies for social services positions.
As for Jefferson County, 7 News has learned not all county lawmakers are happy that the sheriff's office is being used to make house calls for CPS, but they want the county to do what it needs to do to keep children safe. Meanwhile, the sheriff says the extra work isn't taking his deputies off the road, but the extra costs do add up.
Overtime has become a norm. The complexity of situations involving society have caused us to, yes, overtime is definitely across the board.
Barnett and Pichet say the cooperation between the departments is nothing new.
As far as, are we still working with CPS? We always work with social services.
7 News has reached out to Markham to learn more about the backlogs and shortage of staff, but we haven't heard back. Lexi Bruning, 7 News.